There's a cost to living this way. To do it right, severing your present self from the history you've accrued in corporate databases requires a complete reboot. This means either becoming fully nomadic or moving homes and implementing privacy from day zero of your new life. You must consider everything from your car's registration to your house's utility hookups, and measures required to prevent a misstep can be comically elaborate. Yeah, I'd say that is an understatement. A reboot is common in Basil's world. Alec Harris did one too. Because utilities want to know who's going to be paying the bills at a particular residence, Harris, when setting up water and gas, offered a $500 deposit. And to persuade the customer service reps to forgo a personal name on the accounts, claimed he was a property manager named Tom. The owner's a nut job, so help me out here, he told the technicians, and they were like, okay. So, I mean, I guess it's good to have communication skills if you're going to live this life, because you want to be cordial, you want to be amicable. But it does seem pretty flimsy when this whole privacy ruse can be undermined in a second by a guy who just wants to do his job that day. Like, imagine if a worker showed up and he's like, maybe he's new, he's afraid of getting fired. And Tom, whatever, Alec Harris, who's impersonating the property manager, Tom's like, hey, like, do we really have to put a name on the bill? And the guy's like, yeah, we have to put a name on the bill or I'm going to get fired. And Tom's like, like, what about this $500 deposit? Like, is that going to change anything? He's like, dude, do you want water or not? I've got another house. Just give me your fucking name. And then like this whole thing, like spending thousands of dollars on the going away process of living a private life and putting years into living this private lifestyle could be gone in literally like a fucking second if someone's just like, yeah, dude, I really don't care. Just give me your fucking name or else you're not getting water. Like one situation like that, and then you're just like, well, I gotta fucking I need water. So yeah, I don't know, seems kind of flimsy to me just based on this article. The article goes on: buying a car presents special difficulties. Harris likens them to cell phones for how they collect and upload information about your location and driving behaviors, among other things. A workaround Basil likes is to buy fleet insurance, designed for companies to operate a fleet of vehicles, which you can do through a business entity, but that approach is expensive. Instead, Harris followed a detailed script laid out by Basil, calling a dealer to say he wanted to come in for a test drive, then canceling at the last minute, then calling again when he was outside the dealership, trying to fast talk a salesman into foregoing the usual ID check. They looked at him. They were like, yeah, you're not getting in the car without scanning your driver's license, Harris recalled. My attempt at social engineering was not going anywhere. He handed over his ID. To buy the car, Harris ended up registering it at an alternative residence, but when asked whether the dealership could disconnect the built-in GPS, he was told his car couldn't run without it. He gave in, just like that, like one interaction. That's what I was talking about. Like one person who's like, yeah, sorry, dude, this is my job. Fuck off. Like either have the car or don't. Harris, after spending years on living, underground, super private lifestyle, thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on different technologies or, fucking encryptions, modifications to his house, he comes across one car dealer that's like, sorry, dude, you can't take out your car's GPS. And then boom, now you're being tracked by the car company and whoever else is hooked up to the car, has access to your car's cameras and audio system, whatever it is. But like, to me, that's why this whole thing, especially nowadays where everyone's watching you, you literally walk out of your apartment and there's fucking like street cams and ATM cams and satellite cameras and those like Google streetcar camera. Like this whole thing seems like kind of a scam because I don't know if there's a way to actually live privately anymore. Like part of the buy-in to society is like shit. Like you're gonna fucking be surveilled. Like that's just a thing. Like and at different points of history, there were different buy-ins of living. Like before. Um, I'm trying to think of like what a good example would be for the surveillance buy-in of modern day society compared to back in the day. But one thing would be like, have dying of an infection back in the day before they had antibiotics. It was just a thing that if you were a person who was alive and you cut your foot on a nail, you'd probably die of an infection or die of tetanus or like something because that was just life back then. There was nothing you could do about it. People weren't like, "Oh my god, how do we escape infection?" Because at the time there was no cure for it. It's just like an acceptable part of like, "Oh yeah, like Lucy, cut her toe and, died 2 weeks later." And like people are just like, "Oh shit, like sucks." And that was just a part of life. But of course, if that happened to someone today, you'd be like, "What the fuck? Like why didn't she go to the hospital? Why like what happened? Like what went wrong?" Back then, nothing went wrong. It was just like that's how life was. And today, I feel like that's kind of the way it is with the surveillance state where it's like yes, you could like it's wrong. I agree. Like a lot of the shit going on is wrong, but like if you want to be a member of society without having to constantly lie to people or lie to your friends or have a constant state of paranoia or anxiety, then it's like that's kind of the buy-in to live in a developed country. It's like there's going to be shit that tracks you unless you want to spend thousands of dollars a month to get out of that. But even then, like you go buy a car, it has a GPS, you're like, oh, whatever, fuck it. Like I'm just gonna give into it. The article goes on, he says, I confessed I was already confused. How, for instance, did he remember which of his 10 phone numbers to use for what? Yeah, I don't know, he replied. It's confusing. So even this guy's like, yeah, I don't fucking know. This Alec Harris guy's like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I have 10 phone numbers. Couldn't tell you which one goes to which. My phones are in different drawers throughout the house. Like, I have no fucking clue. It's confusing. And if you were a new client, I wouldn't be dumping this much. We would be starting a little slower. Living this way, he acknowledged, incurred a 20% cognitive overhead. 20% cognitive overhead is a ton. Like, using 20% of your brain power during the day just to remember all of the privacy and security details of your life and which lies you told which people and which aliases you use with, which cousins and, friend, like keeping all that shit in your head seems counterintuitive because if you're walking around during the day with already a 20% decrease on your brain power, doesn't that make you more vulnerable to attacks or just, more likely to have something happen to you because you're using that 20% of like we already don't use most of our brain power anyway, but that existing brain power, you're capping that. I feel like that would just make you in an even more vulnerable situation, more likely to have someone take advantage of you because if something happens, you gotta fucking like, calling 911 to, because someone, is in trouble or your son is with you and, breaks his like anything, like a medical emergency or just something like, then you have to like, go through all these situations of like, do I use this phone because it could track me or like, can I drive this car to the hospital because like I know there's a traffic camera on like this road. And it's like you have all this shit in your head that's like if maybe you'd be better off and safer in the long run if you could just think like a human being and be normal and be present and be aware instead of being lost in this tangled web of privacy that you've been weaving over the past of however many years you've been subscribing to this, privacy lifestyle. This is the behavioral side of privacy. If you're committed to being private, you can't indulge your everyday asocial tendencies. Imagine, Harris will say to a client, doing all this work, then getting into a fender bender. If you start yelling at the other driver and the accident gets reported to an insurance company and a plaintiff's lawyer gets involved, you could find yourself being subpoenaed for documents and more generally having your life probed. Instead, Harris told me you need to be like, hey, sorry, let's take care of this. Harris told me it's important to have a repeatable privacy excuse, lines to disarm people who might deem a request suspicious. So yeah, you could be in a situation where you hit a guy and maybe it's a slight fender bender and you're just like, here's $1,000, like, let's not go through insurance. And the guy's like, sure, this probably was going to cost me $300 anyway. And then he takes the cash and he's off. There's also the situation, like, let's say you get in an accident that's semi-serious or very serious, and you fold another guy's car, you T-bone someone, and you go up to the guy and he's like in his front seat, head bleeding, leg broken, and you're like, here's some cash, don't call the cops. And the guy's like, yeah, dude, I'm calling the cops, I can't feel my leg, you fucking T-boned me. It doesn't matter how disarming you are, how charming you are. There's certain situations where, like, this is this privacy, like, ruse of, like, I'm just gonna, sort of like slide undercover and like slip people cash. You're like, this is why I like going through this article, because like the movie moment of when you get in an accident or, you need to buy a car discreetly or get into a hotel room discreetly and you just, slide the person cash behind the counter and then they sort of give you a look and slide it into their pocket and they go, yes, right this way, sir. Of course. Of course. This is the real side of it where it's like you run into people who they have their own livelihood at stake. They have their own story of their life running through their head, and that, maybe they want to do their job that day, or maybe they want to be on the safer side. So they say, yeah, sorry, dude, I need your name. Or yeah, you can't take the GPS out of your car. Or no, yeah, you folded my car in half. I'm calling the fucking cops. If you flee, I have, I'm going to call the cops to track you down or arrest you. So now you're fugitive on the run if you don't comply, or you stay there and your privacy ruse is blown because now you have to give the cops your real information. You can't hand them like a fucking alias or a fake ID. So yeah, I'm still nowhere near convinced on this lifestyle actually being feasible. But who knows? Maybe I'm missing something. We'll find out by the end of the article. Hey guys, if you like this clip, there's a lot more waiting for you. Join the Zach Show 2.0 to unlock the full video and audio version of this episode, plus bonus content you won't find anywhere else. Exclusive AMAs, the entire back catalog of premium episodes, and the ability to submit topics and questions for future shows. Subscribe today at thezachshow.supercast.com. I'll see you there.